My name is Mario Peucker. I'm from Victoria University, and I would like to tell you a little bit about a research project that I currently have the pleasure of co-leading together with Jacob Davey from the Institute for Strategic Dialogue. The project is called Symbiotic Radicalization, and it looks at radical political activism on the left and the right fringes of the political spectrum in Victoria. And it examines especially the interplay between those two opposing radical movements. We use radical in this project not to judge, but purely as a descriptive term. It refers, in our understanding, to something that observer in the political center would consider to be outside the norm. It's not good or bad, it's just that it's not the current norm. So it's time-specific, context-specific, and it doesn't have to be bad, as I said. Asking for civil rights for everyone once was considered radical. Martin Luther King was once called an extremist. So basically, our project tries to gain a better evidence-based understanding of the different and complex networks, the key narratives and mobilization strategies of two opposing radical political movements. On the radical edge of the spectrum, we have nationalist, ethno-nationalist, ultra-nationalist, or similar groups and networks. On the left, we have groups and networks that subscribe to socialism, possibly revolutionary socialism, Marxism, communism, or anarchism. It's important for us to emphasize that we look at those two different political movements not to draw any equivalence between both. This is not what the project is based on, and we've seen that in the public and political debate in recent years that talk about groups on the radical left and the radical right as if there were two sides of the same coin. This is not what this project is based on, this idea. We look at those two different radical movements because they are oppositional movements, and we want to understand better the interplay between both. So how do they interact? This is also why we call the project symbiotic radicalization, because it is not so much or not only about the movements themselves, but how do they incorporate talk and messaging about the other group into their mobilization strategies. How do they talk about each other? Does talking about the radical right and pushing an anti-fascist agenda, does this recruit new members to a socialist group, for example? We use the term symbiotic radicalization to refer to this dynamic interplay and how these different opponents refer to each other and interact. Other scholars have used similar terms or related terms to refer to similar phenomena, like, for example, reactive co-radicalization or cumulative extremism, which is particularly prominent, especially in the UK. But we stick with symbiotic radicalization. We think this is a very timely and important project. It looks at those complex phenomena, dynamic phenomena in Australia, especially in Victoria, and it will be the first project in the country that looks at these different political movements on both sides of the political spectrum and provide empirical evidence on this, which we think is highly needed.